Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Tim here. So, it's the day after Christmas. Well, almost 2 days after Christmas, the time I'm filming this. So, by the time I have this uploaded, it'll be Thursday at some point. So, hopefully, everybody had a wonderful Christmas. I'm actually returning back to work tomorrow. Took the day off to kind of recover and just kind of relax a little bit, and then I'll be off. I'll work Thursday and Friday, and I'll be off until the new year. So. Trying to get in some videos and some other things coming up. But this one I needed to get done. I want to get done rather quickly so I didn't forget. This is going to be a contest entry from my buddy Brad over at H2Vinyl. And what I'm listening to tonight is courtesy of Brad. This is DJ Shadow's second official LP. And I say official because there was a collection of singles and B-sides and things like that released in between. But this is his second full-length album of new material. This is the private press, and this is what he sent for me for the holidays, for Christmas. Absolutely love this album. I never knew it got a repress, so he surprised the hell out of me with it. And I'm glad to have it. So if you can hear it in the background, what we're listening to is a track called Monosyllabic, and it was a challenge of Shadows to create a new composition out of about like 6 seconds of a particular song. And he does a hell of a job. So side 3, probably my favorite of all 4 sides as a whole, even though my favorite track on here is probably 6 Days. So go check this one out if you are interested or tired of hearing me talk about DJ Shadow. Moving along. So Brad is having a contest for hitting 200 subscribers, the big 200, and what an accomplishment. Brad, long time coming. You should be in the quadrillions at this point. You have a fantastic channel. You show a lot of cool content, and you're just a hell of a guy. So I feel it's my important duty to support you in every which way I can. So part of the mess behind me, guys, the holidays, and it's going to get messier because I'm in the process of getting ready to move in a couple months. Still staying in Orlando, but just in a different place. So. What was Brad's contest? Brad has challenged us with the label game. It's a game show where you have to, I'm kidding. It's show 5 labels, and what do you usually think of when you see those labels? How do you associate them? So I've pulled 5. 5, hopefully not everybody's seen all of these. They're not the most obscure labels, but you know, they are what they are. And believe it or not, most of these revert back to my childhood in some way, shape, or form as I kick the camera stand. So I'll talk about them as we go. There's a bonus in there as well. We'll get that to the end. So the first one I want to show, this is Badfinger's Straight Up. Now, Badfinger, obviously very well known for getting their break with a song that McCartney had written. And they were signed to Apple. Okay, get the Apple reflection in the vinyl. Isn't that cool? So the Apple label, we've seen this a million times. It's not that uncommon of a label. What I remember, whenever I see this label, I think of the Beatles. Duh. But I specifically think of Hey Jude, the single. I just remember thinking that it was such a great song, and I was like, "Wow, it's so long, and it's on the 45. It's usually 3 minutes. It's 7, you know." So, but it was a single that my dad had, and I played quite a bit. You know, it was the plain black, glossy 7-inch single paper. It said Apple Records in green, and it had the iconic green apple. So whenever I see that label, instantly think Hey Jude, instantly think the Beatles. I mean, obviously it's their label, but, you know, I specifically tie it to one song. So this one, a little bit later, I'm going to show the label first before I show the album. So if you can see that, that is the iconic Def Jam logo. So Def Jam, obviously, very big for people who are into hip-hop. It was considered, if you were on Def Jam, man, you were something. And I know a lot of people associate the Beastie Boys because of License to Ill, and that was kind of their first introduction. But my first introduction to the label Def Jam was well before. There was a couple 12 inches that Jazzy J had done with the label, and it was a kind of a startup label with him and Rick Rubin. But then there was something very iconic that knocked them out of the park. LL Cool J's debut record, Radio. Amazing hits on this one. I Can't Live Without My Radio, Dear Yvette, Dangerous, which I have a big history with that song, Rock the Bells, I Need a Beat. So I associate the Def Jam label with this album and the iconic single off of this one, Rock the Bells. Rock the Bells was kind of like a rite of passage in DJ land. It was like whatever you could do with Rock the Bells would set you apart as a DJ in the hip hop community. So whenever I see it, I think Rock the Bells, I think LL Cool J. Even though, I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I mean, his first few albums are great, but after that, for me, he takes a big drop off. But this album, true iconic, and just whenever I see the Def Jam logo with that classic black and silver, I think LL Cool J. The next one I have, this is ELO's, like Orchestra's Face the Music. So on the classic United Artists label, the brown and tan, and I associate that with War's Lowrider. I think I told the story when I showed the Why Can't We Be Friends album, that was another 7-inch that my parents had and played it quite a bit. They had Cisco Kid and they had Lowrider, and Cisco Kid was just a paper sleeve and Lowrider was a picture sleeve. I actually have another copy. I'm not going to go dig it out, but I remember that iconic picture of someone in a Lowrider just kind of looking at you, and just remember listening to that song a lot. Listen to Cisco Kid, but the Lowrider I listen to a hell of a lot more. So whenever I see that iconic brown and tan United Artists logo, I think War, I think that particular song, Lowrider. It's just one of those ones, because I listened to it so much in my childhood, it stuck with me. So 2 more in the label game. Taking the plastic off this one so we don't get as much glare. This is Ultimate Spinach. This is a psych band from the 1960s. I do highly recommend them. This is actually how it's showed. So this one is on the very iconic MGM logo, the blue and gold. Kind of almost a play on the yin yang label. So with this one, again, 7-inch back. Whoa, hey, focus. 7-inch back to my childhood. I won't say that it was novelty records that my dad liked to buy. I mean, they had a decent record collection, but nothing extravagant, nothing that really kind of blew the doors off of anybody. But I never really remember them buying records. I take that back. I remember him buying one, and I sent a copy, the only copy I had right now, which I'll get back. But I sent a copy of that to Steve over at Value Vinyl. The only record I remember saw my dad buy was the Hen House 5+3 in the Mood. So, you know, for somebody who's like a big music fan, he just never really seemed to buy music. But I remember, like I said, as a kid going through the records, I remember the iconic MGM logo on a, I guess, novelty hit. It was Jim Stafford's Spiders and Snakes. If you don't know the song, go YouTube it. It was a fairly decent hit, I should say, in the late 60s, early 70s, and it just was always one that I had seen that logo, watched it spin around, and I associated with that song. So whenever I see that logo, I instantly think it. I also, when I was being gifted 45s at a younger age, I was gifted Sky Pilot by Eric Burdon and the Animals. And it was a flip. Like the song wouldn't fit on one side, so they kind of split it. And that one, a little bit later on, I kind of associate with as well. But my first memory with that logo, or that label, was the Spiders and Snakes by Jim Stafford. And the last one I'm going to show is Squeeze. This is their singles. Highly recommend this compilation. It'll get you started. In my opinion, it doesn't give you everything you need by Squeeze, but it's a great place to start. And this one is on the classic A&M logo, which I found it weird that even the singles over time that went away from this logo, you know, Police come to mind. Their album still had this logo, but like some of the singles were like the red and black A&M logo. Even some of the Squeeze singles, same deal. They had the red and black. But I associate this with a song from the late 60s, early 70s. Sister Janet Mead, and it was her rock version of the Lord's Prayer. Now, Sister Janet Mead was from Australia. She was very interested in kind of, excuse me, I gotta reposition here. I'm sliding off my little stool here. She was very interested in mixing Christian religious music with contemporary, with rock music, and she has long been cited as an early influence in Christian rock. She scored a minor, maybe more than a minor hit with her version of the Lord's Prayer, and it's very catchy and very infectious. But as a kid, what grabbed me was it had an instant drum break right at the beginning, and it just had a fuzzed out whine of a guitar at the beginning of it, and then it almost seemed like the song changed drastically. Like it grabbed you at the beginning, and then here came the Lord's Prayer. But again, this was a song that was associated from my childhood. Once they realized they had a demon on their hands when it came to the record player, they weren't going to get their hands off, keep my hands off of it. So it was like, all right, well, as long as he's careful, I guess, let him do what he's going to do. So I would literally just listen to every little thing I could. And for some reason, the 45s were okay, but the LPs, they really didn't want me touching those. I couldn't even begin to tell you what LPs my dad had. I remember a couple Beatles, but even then that was scarce, even though he was this big Beatles fan. And then a lot of Rod Stewart. My dad and I never really saw eye to eye on music, so it doesn't matter. We didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. Anyway, but I remember going through the 45s quite a bit, and I remember that was the A&M one that I remember. Had the classic A&M paper sleeve with the red letters and the records falling in that kind of brownish, well, a lot of browns and some light tan, some tans and stuff like that. But whenever I see that logo, that song instantly pops into my head. So there's my 5. There's the logos, labels, and Brad, I hope this works. But there was a bonus question, and the bonus question was, tell a music story. Just something music related. Could be anything. Could be about a dig. It could be about finding a grail. It literally could be anything. And I have a lot of stories. Excuse me, I really got to reposition. I'm sitting on a fluffy pillow, essentially. My wife's yoga pillow, or poof as she calls it. And I kidnap it for filming videos. Just don't tell her. So I thought about all the concerts I've been to, and there's some funny stories there and stuff like that, but one I just kept coming back to, and I don't think I've told this. At least not here. I mean, I've told it in other places. So back when, out of high school, starting in high school, I got really interested in hip hop, and a few friends of mine and I would try to DJ and rap and stuff like that. So I was never really good as a rapper. Just didn't work. So I kind of went the DJ route with a friend of mine, and we would hang out. You know, we would work on mixes, we would work on scratch techniques, and he was better at scratching than I was, but you know, he would show me some things, and I started getting a little, you know, okay. Wouldn't say it was decent, but it was okay. I could do a few things, so we would go record shopping all the time, you know, whenever we could, and I kind of funded it because I was a DJ. I would go out and do parties and things like that. And I think there was always a little bit of like, well, why is he getting paid when I'm better? But I don't think he quite undergrasped that I was doing weddings, and it wasn't like I was out there like hot nightclubs every night. So, I mean, there was some of that, but you know, it's whatever. Anyway, so my friend Jeff and I, we were gonna go record shopping. That's what we called it back then. We didn't know it was digging. It was record shopping. You know, you'd go to a record shop, and we would go to all different kinds of places, wherever we could find. We found a place in DC when we were there. It was called 12-Inch Dance. It was literally in an apartment. And that was actually not uncommon for DC to turn apartments or row houses into shops, because that's what the infrastructure that was there. So we would just wherever we could. So he had heard of a place that he didn't know, I knew, from younger days. When I was younger, I used to live in an apartment with my mom. That was across the street from this place called the Landover Mall. And there was 2 record stores in there. One, I believe, was a Waxy Maxie's, and the other one was called Record Town. And Record Town, I liked better once I started listening to hip-hop, because they had this wall of 12-inch singles, and it would go like 6 or 7 high, and they're like bins, and it was just really long. They had tons of vinyls. I used to love Record Town over Waxy Maxie's. It was bigger. They had more of a selection. By high school, I had moved away from the area, but my friend Jeff had heard about this. He was like, "Oh man, they got like 12 inches on the wall, kind of like the Wiz." And I was like, "All right, well, I know that place. I know exactly where it is. I'd be more than happy to go with you." So we make the trek out there, and we go into the store. And big store, you'd walk in, and they would have like there was almost like I say a DJ booth. It really wasn't, but they had promotional records, and people would go behind the counter who worked there and put on the whatever record that was playing through the store. And then you had your cash register as you walked into your left. And just beyond that, they had like bins of 45s. It was almost like if you've been into a comic book store, and they had the newer, like the subscription boxes. It was kind of like that. Or if you've ever been in and sent to the office in elementary school in the 70s, like I was a lot, and all the different memos or whatever, kind of like that. And then they had some you flip through. Just beyond that was this ginormous wall of 12 inches. So we had a few things we were looking for, and be honest with you, I don't remember. You could tell me, "Hey, I was there, and you were looking for this, and I would go, "Sure." So I remember walking past them. Like, I looked, and then I walked past them. And they had their sections. Obviously, it was hip-hop and soul and R&B and rock and stuff like that. And because we were 2 hip-hop struck white boys from suburbia Maryland, we would buy anything, you know. Him and I were both huge Hendrix fans way back in the day, so we would buy Hendrix and figure out a way to sample it if we could, and you know, we were just nothing was off limits. So I may have been flipping in the back in something, maybe compilations. I couldn't tell you, but I started to work my way back. And like I said, I knew he was on a mission for a couple things. There was one, he was like, they've got to have this. And I remember walking back up to meet him, and I see him almost like reaching up. It was like, there it is, or whatever. And a taller hand reaches and grabs. I'm like, that's the biggest dick move I've ever seen in my life. And then I look and see who it is. And it's Biz Markie. Swear to God. Biz Markie, I mean, granted, he was from New York, but he actually had a place in Maryland. A lot of the hip hop guys came back and forth. You had Howard University in DC. You had Bowie State University, where it was right outside of Bowie, Maryland. So there was a couple big heavy hitting spots. Plus you had College Park, which is the University of Maryland campus. So there was a lot of places. And Biz Markie, if you're not familiar, or if you don't know, he's actually a decent DJ. He's been a DJ off and on for about 20 years. Now, not enough of a DJ to really like go out there and win DJ battles, but he's a big break specialist. He goes out and buys a ton of records. He's a huge record collector. So I see him reach, grab the record, say something to my friend Jeff, and walk off like he's walking to the cash register. And Jeff is just like by the time I get there, this exchange is over, right? It happened in a split second. And I'm like coming up, I'm like, dude, what the hell just happened? And he turns around, he looks at me and goes, I see it. I see what I needed. And I go to reach for it, and Biz just grabs it right out in front of me. I'm like, well, what did he say to you? And he says, and I quote, tell everybody who would believe that Biz Markie stole a record from you. And turned around and walked away and paid for it and left. I mean, I like I said, the record doesn't matter. Couldn't tell you what it was. But the fact that happened was worth $1 million. And Jeff isn't around anymore. I miss him dearly. But that was one of those ones that we, at that moment, had a hatred yet respect for Biz Markie. More so because of that Just a Friend song. God, I hated that thing. But honestly, it was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen. Now, I'd actually run into Biz a couple more times in Maryland. Mostly at a 7-Eleven after hours in Laurel, Maryland. Buying snacks and alcohol. So, then again, I was there buying snacks and alcohol. So, what are you going to do? So there it is. There's my story. I think I can it within 5 minutes. I don't know. I can't see the clock. I'm not even paying attention. Brad, you are one hell of a guy. I've had the greatest pleasure to meet you and spend the day with you digging. Okay, it's maybe a few hours, but it wasn't the full day, but we still had a great time. And for those of you who have been paying attention to either his channel or my channel, we're doing it again. This Saturday we're going out. It's going to be myself, Brad at H2Vinyl, and we're going to be accompanied by none other than Metal Ron himself, Ron Haggerty. So looking forward to that. Brad has you have an amazing channel. Yes, your videos get long, but you know what? I watch every moment because you really take the time to share your passion with everybody around you. So you keep doing you. If the videos are too long, trust me, people are still watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully, this video finds everybody well. I encourage you to go sub Brad. His link will be down below. But also enter. Have some fun. If you're new to my channel or new to his channel, or maybe you're on the cusp of saying, should I make videos? Do it. I was in that boat a mere 10 months ago. And let me tell you, this has really been a joy to create friendships. Not just acquaintances, but true friendships across lines with people that just a few months prior that I was doing this, I thought, man, just to talk to them for a minute would be cool. We're just music collectors, and we treat it like we're just talking. Unfortunately, we're not all in the same room. So, Brad, I can't wait to be in the same room. You are an awesome guy. Everybody take care. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful holiday. Whatever it is you celebrate. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. The most merriest of Yules. And we'll see everybody soon. Take care. Peace.